Hi everyone, welcome back to another video and welcome to a very rainy, cloudy day in my garden. Filming has been a little bit challenging this week. We have had a lot of rain, not quite as much as the mid-north coast, which is horrific, the amount of rain and flooding that they're having up there. So if you are affected by that, I am really thinking of you right now. We have a little less down here, but we are expected quite a bit of rain over the next 2 days. So as you can imagine, I'm not really getting a lot of gardening done. However, I still wanted to do kind of like a weekly vlog, or at least a few days in my life this week, just to share what I do get up to. I have been managing to kind of like pop out here and there to harvest a few things from the garden when I can. So I'll share that throughout this video. But I think this is going to be a little bit more of a cozy video where I'm going to get some baking done and hopefully get some reading done and try and entertain a 6-month-old inside for a few days. If you are new here, my name is Robyn and I live here on the south coast of New South Wales, Australia, with my partner, our 2 cats and our 6-month-old baby boy. I try and grow as much as I can in terms of food and flowers on this property. Definitely leaning towards growing more food at the moment, just to kind of like cut the cost of living, which I think throughout this video I will chat a little bit on here and there because yeah, it's just crazy and I'm just scrambling to think of ways that we can try to cut our cost of living, in particular like finding food in the garden and just making a lot of things from scratch. So I'll touch on a little bit of that throughout this video as well. If you do like these more cozy vlogs, I would love if you would give the video a like. It definitely does help me out and it's completely free for you. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Before I say goodbye to this area of the garden, I am trying to harvest little bits here and there, and one thing that popped up in the compost, I had some homemade compost that I put down in the garden here, was some pumpkin vines. I absolutely love compost pumpkins. I love a good no fuss plant that wants to grow and produce quite a bit of food for us, and I find that these pumpkins always do that for us. I've grown pretty much all the pumpkins I've grown have just been ones from the compost, and I let them grow. I don't water them, I don't fertilize them, I just let them ramble throughout the garden in a certain area. And we got a really good harvest from these. We got 4 big pumpkins. Some of them were looking a little bit sad on the base of them. That's just because we've had so much rain and so much water down in this area of the garden. So we'll just make sure to eat those first and then the other ones we'll store. But I did want to pick these now just before any other critters got into them, so we can enjoy some pumpkins, which will probably be turned into baby food and pumpkin soup over the next few months. In the cottage garden, there's a few bits to harvest as well. Mainly a lot of herbs. Again, these were self-sown. A lot of the dill plants that I have in this area, I always let them go to seed, go to flower, and then sprinkle seeds around, and then I basically get free plants. And I have never had dill that looked this healthy and tastes this delicious than these plants that I have here. Again, I don't need to water them, they just pop up, and I can thankfully have a free harvest to add to dishes. You really don't need a lot of dill, so this is just way too much for us. So thankfully I can let a lot of these go to seed again, and then I'll sprinkle them around the garden. But dill is such a beautiful herb to have, and I sometimes just like to bring it inside. I picked a bunch for adding to a dinner the other day, and then the rest I just decided to keep on our kitchen bench to enjoy because I just love the look of the ferny foliage, and I think always having a little bit of greenery inside makes me feel good, particularly on these rainy days where I can't really get outside. I like to bring something from the garden inside to enjoy. The only other plants down here that we have been harvesting are the rest of the spring onions. In and amongst all of these ground covers here, I'm going to be pulling out all of these and probably planting maybe some potatoes or ranunculus in this area. So I am just taking these out. We have had so many spring onions, and now I am sowing some more seeds to have another succession of these. These have been really great to save money because they add so much flavour to dishes, and I find they cost about $4 a bunch or so from the farm shop that we usually get them from, so we're definitely saving money from those each week. And I also have just potatoes that I grow in pots around the garden, and I had some that I completely forgot about. I didn't have time to harvest in these grow bags, so I'm just seeing what I could get from these. I didn't really water these enough, so I really didn't get a great harvest from these grow bags. I definitely would have had more potatoes if I would have watered them. And I think because I didn't harvest them in time, I think a few may have disintegrated and turned to compost, but that's okay. I remembered this was another area that I had planted potatoes before, and I saw one that had kept growing. So I obviously kept one potato in the ground, and you can see here on the surface there was some potatoes that I pulled up, which was great to add to that little basket. And I, of course, as soon as I dug down, pierced one of the larger potatoes. That always happens, but that's okay. We can just eat that one first. And just found a few more in here, which was amazing to just rummage around and find some more food. So I can add those, work those into the meal plan for the week. We are starting to eat a lot more soups and stews, so we're always adding potatoes into those, and Grayson is also starting solids, so I'm always trying to find ways to incorporate just fresh organic food into his food as well. So I'm sure I'll figure out how to add those potatoes into some of his meals. And then I had a few more pots around that I noticed some potatoes were regrowing in certain pots. So I decided to harvest those and enjoy the rest of the potatoes from those. I still have some more pots around with potatoes in them that I will gradually harvest as we need them. But this was a good harvest on the day. And it did start raining, and I had to just push through because I had my, half an hour time that I had to myself. So I had to make the most of it, and gardening in the rain is usually what I do. If I have some time, I will garden in the rain, just pop on a hoodie, and I actually love it. There's something about, obviously not like torrential rain, but I really like gardening when it is lightly raining. It's nice and cool. I love the sound of rain, and I just really like it. Realistically though, I don't really get a lot of gardening done at this time in my life, nor do I get a lot of gardening done when it is torrentially raining. I'm doing a lot more things like this on the day-to-day basis, and we don't have a dryer, which is a little challenging when there are so many rainy days in a row and we go through a lot of laundry. We try and do cloth nappies part-time at the moment really, but you do create a lot more washing, and just having a baby in general, there's a lot more washing to deal with. So a lot of the nap times that Grayson has, I am dealing with laundry or cooking or just kind of doing something inside the house, which I never really used to do prior to having a child. I was pretty much outside most of the day. However, I'm changing my ways a little bit now. And you would have seen me make bread quite a lot in some of my videos, but this is something that we have been pretty serious on doing to save some money, and it definitely has saved us quite a lot. So about twice a week or so, I will make some bread in our tiny little retro kitchen that we have. It's really not my style, I will say that, but we make do. We make do with a really tiny kitchen. This is basically the only bench space that I have to work with. It is not a very functional kitchen at all. However, it's just what we've got. And of course, I am very thankful that we do have this space to create meals and eat healthy. I would highly recommend, if you can, trialing out different recipes. I just use a really simple sandwich loaf recipe and it creates such a beautiful, delicious bread that is so much more healthy for you. It really doesn't take that much time when you get the hang of it. And it is so rewarding to just bake something from scratch, to know exactly what is going in there, and also just fills the house with the most delicious smell. I always love the days when I bake some bread. So Grayson is down for his second nap of the day, and Scott is like looking after him for this nap, which is nice. So I could have some lunch and just sit down here for an hour or so. I have my magazines that I picked up from the library. I've been loving the library lately. I don't know why, but I never really went before having a child, and now we go almost every week, which is nice. So I just have some organic gardener magazines. I'm finding they're a little bit easier to kind of flick through and have my brain have like a no screen time break, but also just like look at something that I'm actually interested in. And I also picked up The Whole Brain Child from the library. This was recommended by a friend. So I've wanted to read it for a while, and I think I'm just going to flick through this like here and there, maybe not read all of it. I don't know, I'll see how I go. If you've read it, let me know, but I have heard very good things about this book. So that's my current little reading stash that I have. I'm trying to just take some time to myself each day. My mental health and physical health has not been optimal as of late, really, and that is because I don't do this a lot. I don't come down here and sit down with a cup of tea and books and just sit. I'm usually either like editing or out in the garden, or kind of feeling guilty that I'm not with Grayson, and I'm really trying to be a little bit more gentle on myself. That was kind of like my goal for the year, really, to be a little bit more forgiving to myself. So I'm trying to do that. But I definitely do find it difficult to switch off and have a little bit of a break here and there. I think because of the cost of living is something that is really stressful for us right now. The cost of living right now, it's definitely something that is on my mind a lot. I've really been trying to make the most of the garden for growing food and saving money. When I was doing the meal plan for the week, I was actually like going out in the garden first to see what we had and then planning it around that. And I have just found having like potatoes in the garden and growing pumpkins and something that will flavor a dish like leeks or spring onions or something like that, or garlic, whatever you prefer. Having those kind of staples has been really helping us reduce the cost of our groceries. And I think I would like to do a video on just things you can grow in the garden and how to approach gardening in this cost of living crisis, because it's something that I've just been thinking about so much, is how can we grow more food that isn't going to take like a lot of time as well, but also can grow in alignment with nature and not kind of like rows and rows of just like one thing, because that's not really my gardening style. But I've been finding like just dotting potatoes around the garden and having letting a lot of the things from the compost grow so that I don't have to put effort into growing things that are just going to grow has provided us with so much food. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how I can incorporate lazy gardening a little bit more into my garden and our life, because yeah, it's really been helping reduce the cost of living that we're dealing with. We're pretty much down just to one income at the moment, and that has been like definitely stressful. It's been stressful because YouTube is not like a reliable income as well, and to be honest, like a lot of my videos they don't get a lot of views, and that's, you know, it's not something that I'm really after. I'm not after tens of thousands of views on YouTube. That kind of, to be honest, really terrifies me. However, it's just a little bit difficult to know what kind of content to produce, both to make me happy and also you watching and the audience. So I am just trying to kind of like find my groove right now in terms of social media and what I want to be making, what I want to be posting. I'm feeling like going more down the cozy kind of homemaking, not quite homemaking because I don't really love that word, but cozy home and garden content is the like route, the trajectory that I see myself going down, which makes me feel a little funny because I want my channel to be a gardening channel. However, I'm just finding it super hard to keep up with gardening content and growing things, obviously, with taking care of a baby full time. It's just really difficult right now. So yeah, it's a little stressful just not knowing what is going to do well on YouTube, but also I really need to make myself happy. And that is something I feel like I've also been neglecting, is creating content that really, like, I don't know, creating content that just aligns well with me and makes me feel good, rather than just creating content that I think is going to do well or that people have asked for, which I do try and make a lot of videos that I see in the comments and questions, to answer questions. I'm always reading comments. I'm not the best at replying, but I do read them and try to respond in a way that is helpful. And a lot of the time that is just to create a video. But yeah, this was just a little bit of a ramble of me just like sharing what I'm thinking right now. And yeah, it's a confusing space right now for me, YouTube, because yeah, there's things I want to share, there's things I don't want to share, and finding a niche that suits my life right now has been really difficult for me to think of. So just bear with me while I figure out what kind of content I want to be making. There will still be predominantly garden content because that is my hobby, that is my love. I love being out in the garden and creating garden content. But a lot of you have said that you enjoy the kind of like cozy videos at home as well, and like baking and cooking and that kind of thing. So it might take me a while and also YouTube a while to figure out, like, you know, pushing my videos to the right people. But I do really appreciate any feedback that you have, and I have already received a lot. So if you know you've given me if you have given me feedback, don't feel like you need to say the same thing. But for those of you who maybe don't usually comment, even if you want to send me a direct message, I can read those and respond. Again, I'm not the best at responding. I get very overwhelmed with people in general, and I'm a very, very introverted person. So I promise I read all of your messages, but replying to a lot of them it gets a little scary sometimes for me and my introverted brain. But yeah, if you do have any feedback, I would love to know. But I'm going to enjoy just the last 10 minutes that I have before Scott has to go back on meetings, and read some of my book, and then just try and have a little bit of a cozy afternoon. I think tomorrow I'm going to do some more baking so that we have some like sweet treats in the house. I find myself always just wanting to like go and buy something that I really don't need to buy. I could just make some like nice homemade biscuits to have with a cup of tea. So that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. And yeah, just kind of enjoy this rainy weather that we're having. Although I was talking about in that last clip, like taking some time for yourself if you're a mother or a parent, or just in general, like even if you don't have a kid, I think taking time for yourself is really important. The reality of that can be really hard sometimes, particularly when you're working a full-time job or you're taking care of children. Honestly, it's just really hard at the moment to feel like you can take some time for yourself. And honestly, I know that can seem a little frustrating when people do say that, in terms of, it'll help out your mental health and you'll feel a lot better if you take some time for yourself. But it just can be really hard to fit that in your day. And I want to recognize that and say that it is okay if the only thing you can do for yourself is like I was doing on this day. I went out with my coffee, I picked a flower, I had a look at some plants, and I came back inside. And that just had to do for this day, to be honest. I am really, really trying to notice the beauty in every day and to notice the good in every day. But as someone who has kind of mental health struggles, that's just really hard sometimes. So I can completely sympathize with you if you are one of those people right now. All we can really do is just try our hardest to find those calm moments throughout the day. And if you are, interested in slow living and trying to live a bit more of a slower life, to really choose peace and calm in those more busy moments of life. You don't need a minimalist kind of lifestyle or a really tidy home or a quiet home or certain aesthetics to choose to be calm in the everyday, which is really, it's so much easier said than done. However, it's something that I am personally trying to work towards. I feel a lot of stress when I do think about things like cost of living and how we're going to afford certain things in life. And, we're about to embark on this major, major life change with moving states and building a home and just starting a whole new life, which scares the hell out of me, really. But I don't want this first year of my child's life to go by so quickly. I want it to be slow and I want to be present. I want to notice the small things, and that in turn is going to help with self-care and to acknowledge what I truly want, which is to be present and to just enjoy the everyday with my family. So take what you will from that and from this video as well. I am actually going to leave this video here. To be honest, I was going to film an outro, but I just haven't had the time, and I'm sitting here right now recording this. It is 9 o'clock at night. I've had a day again, and I need to go to bed. So I will be trying to create some more content over the next few weeks. It's probably going to be a lot more related to slow living and cozy lifestyle vlogs, because that is just what I'm interested in right now and what works for me. If you are interested in seeing a little bit more about our life and what happens in terms of the house build and moving and all of that, I do have my Patreon, which I share more vlogs and more personal content over there. However, if you're not interested in that, I would love if you could like this video, leave me a comment and subscribe for lots more content. It really does help me out and it's completely free for you. Thank you for being here for these few rainy days. I really hope you enjoyed just seeing a little bit of what we get up to, what we've been harvesting in the garden, and I will be back with another video very soon. So thanks so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and until my next one, happy gardening everyone. Bye.